All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, as always, this is the Coder Startup. We've hit number 25, I believe this episode is, and it's always a pleasure to have you join us. And by us, I mean the royal us, which is myself and Carter Johnson. Carter, how's it going?
It's good, man. It's good.
You can't complain?
Can't complain. Beautiful day here in Boulder.
Yeah, so I'm still hurting with the weather here in Canada, but that's okay. I've already started my sort of honeymoon plans. I don't know if I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but it's starting August or maybe not August, I guess. What comes after? Maybe September-ish. We're going to be going on our first honeymoon ever. This is going to be my first marriage, hopefully my only marriage. So I'm looking forward to some nice hot destinations then. Anyway, so today I'm going to bring up, I actually didn't do a good job preparing. I need to bring up the question that we are going to be talking about. There was a group I belonged to, in like a Facebook group, and someone had posted a question, and within like a few hours, this question had exploded on this community, and there was like 40 or 45 comments and 50 likes on it, and it was just a really impactful question for all the entire group. So I wanted to bring that up and just talk about it. So here's the question. He or she who shall remain nameless says that they have recently started telling close family and friends about their goal of making $10,000 a month by the end of this year. By this year, he means 2015. So that really gives him about, what is it?
8 months.
3 quarters to get it done, or so. So, not a whole lot of time. He says he currently is starting with $0, but has some things in the works. He does not hold himself accountable, but everyone thinks that he is crazy. He tries to use it as motivation, but sometimes feels incredibly isolated to have no one that really understands what it is that he's trying to do. And he's wondering if anyone else had sort of experienced this sort of feeling of being isolated and sharing, a goal of theirs and having people think that they're crazy. So this is something that, and like I said, it exploded. A whole bunch of people are chiming in with their opinions and everything. This is something that is obviously very common and also something that we have talked about before on the podcast, but it's been a little while and I wanted to sort of bring it back up again because I think it's important to really nail this home. And I want to attack this sort of in 2 different parts. First, I want to talk about the sort of emotional side of things, and then I want to get into sort of how someone could go from, $0 a month to $10,000 a month in under a year. So I think that's something that you guys might be curious to hear about. So you'll hear my side of it and Carter's side of it. So let's get it rolling. How's that sound to you?
Oh, that sounds great, man. It sounds great. I mean, to lead it off, first thing that popped in my mind towards the end of the question, he or she is asking, has anyone else gone through this? And I think it's almost a rite of passage. You know what I mean? Like I have never heard of anyone who was like, I stated my goals and everyone was 100% on board and off we went and I hit 10K. Like, it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, and it's certainly like that's what I hear. What you hear is if it was easy, then everyone would do it. If it was easy to be an entrepreneur, then we would all be rich and famous and all that stuff. So clearly, it's not easy, and there's a reason for that. So.
And one of the things too, I think 10K, that transition to 120K a year, that's a number, and I don't know if you saw the email that I sent you, but when we were discussing this via email, that's a number that a lot of people can't relate to. Like there's the majority of people go through life and they never see an annual salary of 120K per year. So you got to realize too, when you start voicing these goals, a lot of people are already going to be like, that's more money than I would know what to do with, and they can't even fathom how someone would get there. And it's also a very intimidating type thing. And I think, so a lot of the pushback we get as entrepreneurs, people hear that and they're like, well, what makes you think you're so good that, you can do that? And I've been working 30, 40 years and I've never been able to do that. It's just, the fact of the matter is it's entrepreneurship is a vehicle to wealth that can turn money like that. I mean, it can turn up $120,000 easily in a year. So it's a vehicle that a lot of people don't understand because they're in a 9-to-5 job or they have a career that pretty much has that ceiling. But when you go out and you do things on your own, there's definitely no limitations there. So I think that's one thing that a lot of people struggle with when you're telling them your goals. Yeah, man. What am I making sense at all, or am I just?
I'm actually, you guys, for those of you, I guess none of you really saw that because it was on Carter's face when he was talking. If you're watching it, I was scribbling down some notes to sort of counter what he was saying. So the first thing, Carter, you said that piqued my interest was you said you can get from 0 to 120,000 a year easily. I think that's sort of that was probably a slip of the tongue. I don't believe it's easy, but I think
that's true.
It's entirely possible with the right plan of action and with the right sort of tools in your belt. And that's exactly what we're going to get to probably more towards the second half of this conversation. So I just wanted to caveat that. It's not easy, but
good point. Good point.
So, but what you also did hit on is that, these people come from it with a mindset of that it's not possible and that, they've been working for X number of years. And I think that's such a perfect way to put it. And I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again. One of my old coworkers that I did work with when I worked a 9 to 5, they reacted very negatively to my my departure from my day job because, like I said before, I was a programmer, being high end programmer, well paid, team lead, scrum master, senior software engineer. Like I had a lot of titles, and it allowed me to get a nice salary. And so anyone coming from the common business or common working background of the 9 to 5 for 50 years of their life, they're just going to think that you're an idiot. And that's exactly what some people thought about me. And but I want to take that and I want to spin that around and say that that's a good thing. And I think it's a good thing because, like I said, if this was easy, everyone would do it, right? And if people think that you're stupid for doing this, and if they can't fathom this kind of wealth that you create, and they're so ingrained in their ways, and they would want to stay in the 9 to 5, that's a good thing, because we as entrepreneurs need people to work for us. And if everyone thought they could go off and do this on their own, we wouldn't have any employees. So we need people to think that way. We absolutely need the majority of the population to think that this is not possible. So they will work for us, and we can pay them and make us wealthy. How do you think? What do you think about that?
This is an appropriate interjection. It's crazy that you mentioned that, because I've had to really, one of the things that I've identified as a huge just hurdle that I've had to kind of overcome in my mindset, like you've said many times, Trevor, I've never had a traditional job. And so I don't understand, like I'm on the other side. I don't understand. What I'm getting at is I've never understood why someone would go work for other people. And so it's always been hard for me to build teams and stuff. And that's why, I finally got to the point where I decided, for my team, I want people who are entrepreneurial. I can't even talk to them.
Entrepreneurial.
There you go. Who are, thinking that way, who want to be in that environment. And sure, they might not be with us forever, but the fact of the matter is they're going to be looking for opportunities. They're going to be adding value consistently and stuff. But yeah, it was a huge thing for me to struggle with that. And I couldn't understand, why would anyone ever want to work for me? You couldn't pay me enough money to work for someone else. Why would someone want to do that? So yeah, that's just a weird little tidbit, I guess.
Yeah. And so it's such a cool way, because I love that your mind is structured that way, because I think you're one of the very, very few, you're a subset of the subset, right? Entrepreneurs are a subset of the entire population, and a small one at that, for obvious reasons. But then the people who have never, ever held down a full-time job and have always wanted to be an entrepreneur and have gone after that from the get-go. I mean, that's, like I said, that's a subset of a subset there. So you are among a very elite few people who have that mindset essentially from birth.
I probably have a slanted view then, so I don't know. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but
that's a good thing.
So let's talk more about it, because like you said, we've talked about this before in the past, but it is such an important issue, and it really, for me, I think it took 3 or 4 years into my journey when I was finally okay with people not understanding, and it does a lot to your own like self-worth when people who you really value their opinion, friends, family, everyone else, and you hear them like totally question, totally think that you're outrageous in what you're thinking. So let's keep equipping everyone with kind of tidbits and habits and everything else that they can use to get over that.
Yeah, and one thing that I saw a lot in this particular conversation was that one theme was that they kept saying, well, I would hold back from sharing the specifics with your friends and family. Unless your family and friends are all entrepreneurial, they all share the same mindset, then by all means share away. But if these are the people who, like we said, painted the picture before, are the ones who have worked 9 to 5 through their entire lives, sharing exact details with them could be dangerous, because it could backfire and they could say something that would upset you and hurt the friendship or put a strain on the family ties or something like that. So I think something that's good to do is to sort of hold back on the specifics and just say something like, hey, I'm working on something on the side. I have the side hustle, if you will, is a common term for that. And just don't elaborate unless they ask, unless they show genuine interest in what it is that you're doing, and then you can feel free to share more and obviously use your own common sense for what you feel you should share and shouldn't share. So
I'm gonna play a little bit of devil's advocate.
Yeah, go for it.
I don't know if this is I'm just again slant of view or anything, but I when I was struggling with this, when I had friends and family who just didn't understand what in the world I was doing. My parents were still sending me like job wanted posts and stuff like that. And I started doing a weekly newsletter to them. And I would describe like, hey, this is what I'm working on. This is what, was executed this week. This is the roadblocks we came into. These were the results we saw. And the feedback I received from them, it was really, they were super happy to like understand what I was doing. Cause then it wasn't like, oh, Carter's sitting at home watching the Masters all day. And I say that because the Masters are on right now. But, it wasn't for them. It wasn't like, oh, he's got this entrepreneurial thing going, and it was more like, oh yeah, this is what he was doing. So it kind of connected them to the dream. Now, to your point, I think it's really, really important to make sure that they're receptive and want to know that stuff. So you made a good point. Share a little bit, see how what the feedback is if they're interested. But I found that weekly report, which it goes out on Friday, so I'll do it tomorrow. Is just a great way to keep them in the loop, and it's really helped, I think, bridge that gap that was there.
I love that. in all the years that we've spent together, myself and Carter, I've never heard that you've done that before. So that's really? Actually really interesting to me. And I'm assuming you do that for 2 reasons. One is to keep the family in the loop type of thing and whatever. And the second is just for yourself, for your own business, to be able to, get your thoughts down on quote unquote paper, not paper, and to, get your thoughts straight about the business. So I'm assuming that's probably,
Yeah, and it's a great way too, because, geographically, my family, we're all over the place, North Carolina, Indiana, out here in Colorado and stuff. So having that email is kind of like, oh, everyone's together, even though they're not together.
Nice.
So
it's like your own. It's like your own family mastermind group or something. And that's I'm using that word on purpose because I want to transition it into talking about masterminds. Because if you don't have someone that you can share this stuff with, like if you're in the situation where you can't share what it is that you're doing with your significant other, if you have a significant other, maybe they are not receptive to this process. That's tough. So what you need to do is you need to go out and purposefully find some group, some outlet to be able to talk about this stuff openly and freely. The best way that I found is obviously to do a mastermind group. We've talked about this before. Keep it to a group of between, even as low as 2 people to, maybe at most, 6 to 8. I think that's getting pretty heavy on the people, but somewhere maybe 4 people I think works well for us that we've seen, maybe 5 people.
And I get this question a lot too. People are like, well, how do I start a mastermind? And it's crazy. All you do is simply ask other people, like, hey, I'm starting a mastermind. You think you'd be interested? And you'll be, it's so funny, but so many people, their masterminds start that way. It's just literally a simple ask, like, hey, we're going to do this, hold ourselves a little bit accountable, talk about what's going on week to week basis. And that's how they start. And then boom, you're in. It's great.
Yeah, it's because we as entrepreneurs, we want to talk about this stuff, right? We want to, share our victories. We want to, some people don't want to share their failures, but that's certainly very, very valuable to share your failures. So definitely do that if you're not already doing that. Don't worry about that whole pride thing. There's no pride amongst entrepreneurs. We're all here. We all understand the constant, trench fighting that we're all in. So no worries. But yeah, like Carter said, just go out and ask about it. You can easily join other people's masterminds if they have them. Go out on Facebook groups. I'm part of a whole bunch of Facebook groups, even ones that I pay for. Are totally worth it. I love these things. I'm always finding myself getting diverted from my daily work because I'm interacting in these communities just because I like them so much. So, and those are obviously great ways to find masterminds.
You're really interactive. I mean, that is something that I wish I was more of. And like, that's one of my goals with the blog, just to pass along any insight or golden nuggets that I find. But, some of the communities that we're part of online, like there's a few that you're a part of and I'm a part of and stuff. And I'll just like randomly, get on Facebook or something. And I'm like, man, Trevor's been chatting it up.
Yeah. That's what I mean. I get distracted sometimes. That's not, perhaps that's a bad thing. I don't know, but
it's good value. I mean,
good value. Yeah.
You're totally helping people. And I mean, that's what it's all about. So that's what it's awesome that you do that. I need to do more of it.
So really just to summarize that point is you need an outlet, okay? So if you're looking for an outlet and you're reaching out to your friends and family because those are people that like I said, that could maybe be dangerous. Obviously make sure that you're surrounded by good types of people before you go too deep into that. You could do the email thing like, Carter does every week or every month, who knows? So like a newsletter, that's awesome. But really finding a mastermind and getting deep and down deep and dirty with, a close-knit group of people is just, it's amazing what comes from it. I've said this before. So I think really the success of my business, period, has been because of my mastermind group, because I've shared my failures, I've shared my struggles, I've shared my line of thinking, and then you get 4 different perspectives on that, and then you get suggestions and you try things, and it really just gives you the ability to have this creative outlet without having to be a creative person yourself, because I don't really consider myself to be a creative person, but when I'm around other people, that really helps to nurture my own, creativity and get it going. So I can.
And how cool was it? I know we're getting a little off topic.
Yeah.
But
oh, that line just cut out for a second there. Let's let
had a
Carter come back. There you go. Start again, Carter.
Oh, okay. Sorry, it broke up. Was it that earlier this week, our mastermind group, we had a meeting and it was solely about goal planning. And what we identified in our group was that 2 of us are really, really good at 6-month, 1-year goals. And then the other 2 are really, really good at long-term, crushing the big dreams. And what we were able to do is kind of reverse engineer our thinkings on both sides. And I'm more of the long-term thinking, big dreamer type. And Trevor is very tactical, amazing at executing on the 6 to 12 month portion. He was able to help me a ton just lining up those goals and getting clarity there. And that's what's so valuable when you're around a mastermind and other people who are on a similar journey.
Exactly. And I even wrote down, this is something that Carter had me do. I'm showing this for those of you who can see it. It's a sticky note that says the I want exercise. Yes. Which is funny because when I look at it, it just says, I want exercise. So I'm assuming if like my significant other were to see that, she would be like, oh, Trevor wants to exercise more. But this is the quote unquote, I want exercise. So it's where we've said this before on the podcast, where you write down what it is that you want over and over and over and over and over and over and over again until eventually you're going to get to those big dreams and big goals.
You're peeling back the onion.
That's like, right. You're peeling
all the conscious thoughts, like the filters that you're like, no, I can't have that.
Yeah.
And like your mind just gets lazy and they're like, you know what? I really want to bungee jump off of Air Force One.
Nice. Nice. I like that example. So that's, I mean, for me, I wouldn't have gotten that. I would not have had access to that kind of line of thinking. And I say creativity, because otherwise, I wouldn't have had that if I didn't have the mastermind group. So, can't stress that enough. So, let's go back to the question. I'm just going to bring it up again. I'm trying to think of anything else that we could talk about in terms of the emotional side of things before we get on to the sort of tactical and side of things that I'm really you know, good at.
I got something I think will transition really well. One of the things I think you can do is when you're really, you know, when you're starting out, getting that traction, you're having doubts, you know, there's a lot more evidence that you're not making it than there is that you are. A good thing to do is really count and celebrate those small victories. And, you know, Trevor has done a great job with, he actually maps on his wall, like where he is revenue wise, everything else, hitting his goals. And if you can just, you know, every day, every week, whatever it is, even write down and review like what it is that you accomplished, what you'll start doing is actually, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy in the sense that you're going to be looking at that and realizing, hey, I'm making progress. And it's going to get you excited about, you know, what's up next. And it kind of like, it's going to start building that shield in a sense of when people, you know, are discrediting whatever you're going after, you can be like, no, you don't even understand. But I know, like, you know, I'm looking at the progress I'm making inch by inch, I'm getting there. So I would definitely recommend that. And I don't know if this is a good time to transition into what you were going to talk about, more tactical.
Well, before we do, I just pulled up something that dovetails with what you were just talking about, and I really think it's you know, like Carter said, celebrate the small victories. If you want to be even more tactical about it, because I'm all about being tactical, I just brought up a webpage on my computer here. It's the 5-Minute Journal, so 5minutejournal.com. Have you heard about this one yet, Carter?
Oh yeah, man, I've been doing it for 2 years. I haven't told you about this.
Well, maybe you have. I don't remember. I've probably heard it again from, you know, Pat Flynn or something.
It's so funny because I find that people. So I gave one to my girlfriend, Tiffany.
Nice.
And she absolutely loves it, and she has given more copies and spread the word so much more than I have. So it's just even people outside of the community. But yeah, introduce it. Tell people what it's about because it'll change your life.
So I don't have one of these yet, and I'm actually probably going to purchase it. I shouldn't say probably. I am going to purchase it. I'm going to commit to doing this as soon as we get off this call. I'm going to leave it up on my computer so I remember. But you know, there's a big web page, you know, 5minutejournal.com. I'm assuming it's five spelled out like the word, but it might even, hopefully they bought the domain with the number 5. But anyway, we can include that in the show notes at coderstartup.com/25. In any case, you can go there, and the journal itself is broken out into, what is this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different sections, it looks like. I'm assuming you fill this out every day. It should only take you 5 minutes. The first part of it is an inspiring quote. So it actually has this inspiring quote at the top of the page for each one of these sections. The next one is, what would make today great? So you write down some stuff that you're grateful for, as well as some stuff that would make today a great day. Some other stuff, and then it goes down into listing 3 amazing things that happened today. And that's sort of on the nighttime portion of it. So you wait till the end of the day to fill that part out. And then on the flip side, there's like weekly challenges, you know, gratefulness, your affirmations. Those are things that, you know, you say to yourself sort of every day, like, you know, I'm a great entrepreneur. I'm going to be successful, or I am successful, or, you know, it sounds all hoo-ha-y, but apparently this stuff works. I haven't done it myself.
I tried to fight it as much as I could, but it just works.
It just works. And then there's the last section is how you could have made today better. So anyway, it's a you know, good visual thing. You can go to the website and see it. And I'm curious how much it actually is. Do you know? Oh, here we go.
Oh, super inexpensive. I think it's like
$22.95.
$22.95.
Yeah, and I wonder if that you have to pay for shipping. Anyway, somewhere it's probably under $30 if you have to pay for shipping.
Maybe it's because I bought a bunch in bulk once.
Oh, perhaps.
I don't know.
Yes, there is bulk orders. Yeah, you can place a bulk order as well. So that's probably why. In any case, totally, I think that would be a great way to, you know, not exactly systematize, but develop a
habit.
A habit, exactly. A habit of doing something that's going to make an impact in your life over the course of time. So Carter's mentioned it before. If you could just improve by 1% every day, that cumulative effect is going to be massive over the course of a full year. So there you go. We've armed you with as much as we could in terms of the, you know, emotional side of things, as well as a little bit of a tactical side of things. And what we're going to do is I'm going to break this show up into 2 parts because this is going to be a long conversation. So in the second part, we're going to be talking more about, like I said, the tactical side of things and how you can go from 0 to 10K in less than a year. So I'll sort of end the talk there, and then we'll move on to the second section. So basically, to wrap up this episode, I would encourage you to go to coderstartup.com / what is this, episode number 25, I think we talked about. You can go there, get all the show notes for the talk that we just had, and you will be on your way to figuring out how you can go from 0 to 10K in no time at all. Or rather, at least in less than a year. So I look forward to seeing you there. And don't forget, you can also get coaching if you like. I've done a few of these already where you can get a sort of a coaching phone call from me. I do the first one for free. I go over your business. I see if it's a business that's viable. I break down different aspects of it and sort of give you tips and tricks on how you can move forward and just improve your business and make more, get more money in the door, more sales, more whatever, and hopefully more passively as well. And if you're interested in that, you can go ahead and get that at coderstartup.com / coaching. Fill out that quick little survey there. We can set up the phone call and then move from there. Okay, you can do Skype call or phone call, whatever is more comfortable with you. And then if you choose to decide to go forward with the coaching, then we can do it on a monthly basis or weekly basis, whatever works for you in your schedule. So check it out there, and don't forget to check out obviously part 2 of this episode next week. So make sure that you're subscribed to our feed in iTunes as well, coderstartup.com / iTunes. So look forward to seeing you guys then. Take care of yourselves, and bye for now.